Overview of the different variable inputs within Autobidder. So variables are the key to the formulas. Each variable is like a piece of information that you're going to ask for whatever the formula is. So when we add a new variable, you'll see this option that says variable type. Now the key ones are number, stepper, checkbox, slider, dropdown, and multiple choice. You also have the option for text and repeatable group. Text doesn't affect the price whatsoever, but it does give you an opportunity to collect useful information that you may need when you do your follow-up bid, and confirm the price. The most common are definitely number. A number input is very useful for things like square footage and any big numbers. I like steppers for smaller numbers, such as, number of windows, number of trees, things like that. Checkboxes are great for yes or no options, like, do you want paint correction or something like that. Sliders are kind of like numbers. They're just a slightly more interactive version. They're also a little bit like steppers. They're less common, they're not used very often. Drop downs are very common as well. This is great for asking like, different type of siding, vinyl, brick, metal. Multiple choice, same as with drop downs. The key difference with multiple choice inputs though is that you can toggle them to where they're multiple selection. So you might use the multiple choice option for, let's say, maybe if it's like exterior cleaning, you might have a section that asks different types of stains that the concrete has or something, right? Like rust, oil, organic, things like that. And then the customer could select multiple inputs on the same multiple choice. You can also toggle it to be single selection only. A repeatable group is a bit more advanced, and this is for things that basically a repeatable group contains multiple questions inside of it. So for example, for tree removal, if a customer has, let's say you start by asking number of trees. The way the repeatable group would work is if they select 5 trees, it would ask the same questions 5 times so that you get specific information for each tree. So you may need to know the length, the diameter, the location of each of the trees, maybe the type of tree, and you'd want to know, each one may be slightly different. So that's where repeating groups come in handy. So that's a brief overview of all of the different input types. It's pretty straightforward. My recommendation is to just play around with it a little bit until you get something that works. I like to start with a number and a drop down as the multiple choice. And here, I'll just fill in a test right here. When you create one, a number will just be very basic, right? So whatever number, it's like 2,000 square feet. If you pull this into the formula expression, the number that'll apply here is whatever you set for the number. Now, you can also switch this to a stepper. And a stepper is basically the same as a number. It just looks a little bit different on the front end. And then you've got the text, like I mentioned. You've also got the option for a checkbox. This is great for yes or no types of questions. And inside of the checkbox, you can see the values. You can set a value for when it's checked and a value for when it's unchecked. And then you would just apply that accordingly to the formula. The slider, like I said, is basically the same as the stepper in terms of you set a minimum and a max, and then you can slide between the two. A drop down, this is one of the most common drop down and multiple choice. This is slightly different than the others because what you do here is you go to options and you have to give it different options. So you say, here you got option 1, you add a few more right here with this add button. You can add as many options as you want. You give them each a name and a value. And then the way that it would work, if a customer in this particular section, let's say they select option 3 and we set the value to 5, then the value that we set right here is what's going to be applied in the formula expression right there, okay? And this works basically the same way with multiple choice. So if we change this to a multiple choice and we click save, you'll have the same options, but now you'll see this section right here where you can actually turn on, you can allow multiple selections. And multiple selections do change things. It does complicate things quite a bit. And the way that multiple selections work is you'd have each one of these now has a default value when it's not selected. You can set it to 0 or 1, and then it's core selection, and then they each apply independently to the formula. Okay, so that is a bit more complicated, and it's used more so with advanced formulas, but that's how that would work. I will make more videos like this if you guys need them. If you need any help, specific questions, please contact support right here. fill in your information, let us know what you need, and send a request, and I will make a specific video answering your question.